looks like a total fraud. Put him in a ring with somebody that can punch back. This is the Tank Protection Program. This has been going along for a long time, people. Bringing fighters up from a lower weight class to get in there with Tank. Tank looks spectacular, but it's a cover-up. I'm going to tell you right now, I think Tank is a good fighter. Are they saying they don't have an opponent for him? Yes, you do. His name is De Los Santos.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, I figured it out. I mean, I've been figured it out even before Timothy Bradley said what he said about Tank Davis in this recent video. I already know where this stems from. I'm going to break it all the way down to its lowest common denominator, like I always do. I'm going to roll the tape, like I always do. But before I get into any of that, I encourage you, subscribe to the video if you haven't done so already. Be a part of the Roll the Tape film crew family. You can also join. There's a button that says join right on your screen. You can join and become a member of the channel. Upgrade yourself to be a supervisor of the Roll the Tape film crew. And also, please like this video, because when you do that, YouTube will push out the content so that other people can not only be entertained, but most importantly, I can fulfill my objective in educating everyone about the business of boxing, which I'm going to do so right now. Now, let's get into this. Timothy Bradley said some remarks about Tank Davis. And there's a few things that he said that I wanted to comment on and give a perspective that I think will open the eyes of boxing fans, number one, but also open the eyes of Tim Bradley, because we got to deal with the realities of how this business works in boxing. First and foremost, let's be clear on something. Timothy Bradley said the Tank Protection Program. He basically said that he don't know what they are hiding. He's talking about the representation of Tank Davis. Because this Tank Protection Program consists of basically moving guys up from lower weight classes for Tank Davis to dominate them and look impressive to continue to build his resume and advance his career. Basically, what Tim Bradley is saying, if I may interpret, is that Tank has been cherry picking his fighters. That's what basically he's saying. And I have some contention with that, because there is a form of organized cherry picking in the business of boxing. So it's not just about pointing out, well, Tank this and Tank that, and Tank is cherry picking, and Tank hasn't been in there with top level competition, and Tank is a fraud, and Tank ain't who he. Stop that. That needs to stop, because Timothy Bradley been involved in the business of boxing for decades, and he understands how the business of boxing actually works. And he also knows that there's always going to be an organized cherry picking format in boxing, because that is how fighters get recognized. That's how the marketability of fighters improve. That's how fighters transition from being a low-level card performer all the way to a pay-per-view star. He knows that. It happened in his career as when he was a professional boxer. So Tim Bradley knows that. The issue I had with Tim Bradley saying that, there's two issues. Number one, the last time I checked, when Ryan Garcia fought Tank Davis, he was the naturally bigger opponent, which is why there was the rehydration clause established in the contract in the first place. And we know that Ryan Garcia is a naturally bigger fighter and a bigger person in general compared to Tank Davis. Why? He came in 3 pounds over the weight limit to fight Devin Haney. Okay. Mario Barrios, the last time I checked, is a naturally bigger fighter and bigger person than Tank Davis. The point I'm making is that Tank Davis fought both of these guys. So these guys, at the time they fought Tank, yes, they were competing at a weight division that Tank shared with these guys. But at the end of the day, both of them are naturally bigger people compared to Tank Davis. And you saw what Tank Davis did to both of those guys. Oh, okay then. So every opponent that Tank had in his career or even fought on a high level, they all were in guys in lower weight classes who Tank were naturally bigger than. I just wanted to make sure we were all clear on that. That's the first point. And the second point I want to make with regards to Tim Bradley calling it the Tank Protection Program is this. When Terrence Crawford fought David Evanesian, y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? Y'all remember when Terrence Crawford wanted the tune-up fight before he fought Errol Spence? Y'all remember that? And David Evanesian was scheduled to defend a title in another country nearly a month before he fought Terrence Crawford. And he was taken off of the card, scratched completely off the card. That unfortunately allowed a total of 9 other competitors that were included on that card to get paid to not be able to compete because the whole entire card was scratched because David Evanesian was the main event. Y'all remember that? And then he came to the United States and was lured into fighting Terrence Crawford. Y'all remember that? Did Tim Bradley say anything about that? I'm just asking a question. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. I'm just asking a question. Where was the videos on YouTube and the interviews that Timothy Bradley conducted where he was talking about his contention for Terrence Crawford cherry picking David Evanesian? Did y'all hear it? I mean, I haven't heard it. I was here on YouTube and I haven't heard it. Did y'all? Okay. So those are the 2 points I wanted to raise with Tim Bradley saying that there's a quote unquote tank protection program. In other words, if it's good for one, Tim Bradley, it has to be good for everybody. If you're going to hold Tank Davis to that standard of having this protection program, every professional boxer that ever laced up a pair of gloves and fought more than 12 professional fights, whether it was televised or not, all can say they have experience with getting into a professional boxing competition inside the ring with a fighter who probably wasn't on their level, so to speak. We all know that's how the business of boxing works. And don't forget, Tim Bradley, you know that when you were signed to Top Rank and when Terrence Crawford and Shakur Stevenson and everybody else over there was in fights where you were overmatched as the attraction. Why? Because the greatest, or at least one of the greatest, matchmakers in the business of boxing works closely with Top Rank and Bob Arum. And I've been calling his name out for 2 years now. Brad Goodman. Oh, okay. That's all. I just wanted to put that out there. That's all I wanted to say about that. Now let's move on. These are some other things that Timothy Bradley said. You know what? I'm doing way too much talking. Don't take my word for it. Roll the tape.
Santos. And the fans wouldn't mind paying for a De Los Santos fight, but they're covering something. I don't know what it is. Is it the power of De Los Santos they worried about? Tank was doing a whole lot of talking when Shakur Stevenson put everybody to sleep with De Los Santos, but he won't step his behind in the ring and face a De Los Santos. That's the fight that everybody wants to see. No one's going to pay for this pay-per-view. I'm going to let y'all know that right now. People going to show up because it's Tank Davis, but those pay-per-view numbers that you're chasing, it's just going to be a wishing well, man.
Hold on. And that was Tim Bradley. Y'all heard what he said. But before I comment on that, I have to preface my statements with this. I don't have anything personal against Tim Bradley. I'm not criticizing his perspective, because I believe all of us have a privilege and a right to have our own perspectives and opinion, and everyone should be inclusive in that process when given it, right? Okay. But I wanted to point out some inconsistencies and some bias that I see and that I hear when Tim Bradley is making these comments. First and foremost, Edwin De Los Santos. I know that he fought Shakur Stevenson, and I know he lost the fight. But I'm a firm believer in this, and I'm the one that introduced this perspective to YouTubers and boxing fans all across the country and in the world. My words, not yours. When I say that fighters can lose a fight but still win a fan, right? They can lose fights and win fans all at the same time. Remember I say that? Okay. So Edwin De Los Santos lost to Shakur Stevenson, right? But I don't think he won enough fans for him to enter the sweepstakes to be an opponent for Tank Davis. Now, I know Tim Bradley said, his words, not mine, that's the fight that everyone wanted to see. I haven't heard not one person talk about that they were clamoring for this fight between Edwin De Los Santos and Tank Davis. I haven't heard it. Have you? I haven't. I haven't heard not one person. Even the most inexperienced content creator in the YouTube boxing community, I haven't heard one of them even say that they were clamoring for. I haven't heard a hardcore boxing fan. I haven't heard anyone that cover media for boxing, including reporters and journalists who have college degrees in their background. I haven't heard not one person say that they're interested in this fight between Edwin De Los Santos and Tank Davis. But that's what Tim Bradley says, and we'll move right along. Tim Bradley also says that that's a fight that fans wouldn't mind paying for. My question is to Tim Bradley, if no one has ever talked about De Los Santos versus Tank Davis, then how can now all of a sudden fans wouldn't mind paying for it? It's not even embedded in the psyche of a fan to be motivated enough to clamor for the fight, let alone pay for it. So how do Tim Bradley know that? How does he know that the fans wouldn't mind paying for it? What barometer is he using if no one's even talking about it and no one has ever mentioned it, period? Which leads to my next question. How does Timothy Bradley know that the pay-per-view numbers between Lamont Roach Jr. and Tank Davis, those numbers are going to be a wishing well? His words, not mine. How does he know that? Now, here is a contradiction. Because after Tim Bradley said all of that, you heard him now. After he said all of that, this was the next statement that he made. He said, yes, people are going to show up because it's Tank Davis. I'm going to stop right there. I've already activated my amber lights on the school bus. Now I'm going to stop. I'm going to open my door, which will extend the red stop sign in the arm. I'm going to park the school bus right here. Throw my hazards on too. Tim Bradley, thank you for clarifying it. Now you contradicted yourself, but I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you. You said people are going to show up because it's Tank Davis. They're not going to buy the pay-per-view, but they're going to show up. Tim Bradley, people are going to buy the pay-per-view for the same reason why you said they're going to show up, because it's Tank Davis. The same reason why people going to show up is the same reason why it don't matter who Tank Davis fight. It don't matter who Tank Davis fight. They're going to buy the pay-per-view. I'm not saying it's going to sell out like it would him fighting Ryan Garcia on pay-per-view, but it's going to sell. You want to know why? Because it's Tank Davis. And Tank Davis, if not number 2, he's definitely number 3. He's in the top 3 highest paid professional boxers in the sport today. Definitely top 3. There is no question about it. Want to know why? Because it's Tank Davis. But see, the reason why I believe Tim Bradley is having this perspective, it's not because fans are really clamoring for a fight between him and De Los Santos, because De Los Santos got power and there's a tank protection program. And then, no, that's not why. And this is the reason why I believe broadcast journalism has to be modified. Because people on YouTube and in the media of boxing, active and inactive, fighters included, have a perspective based on their own personal issues that they have with people. And I believe that's the reason why Tim Bradley is having this perspective. Now, I know, y'all going to say, no, that's not because of that. Tim Bradley is not biased. Yes, Tim Bradley, he has been biased in the past, not just with other fighters, but I'm talking about with Tank Davis in particular. And here's the evidence that I have, because y'all don't remember this. That's why I like the show that I created. That's why I like the motto that I created called Roll the Tape, because all you got to do, don't just listen to what the people say now when they do interviews and when they give a perspective on camera. No. Don't just stop there. Go back and listen to their old interviews. You know, like I did Victor Conte. Yeah. Like I do everybody else when I roll the tape on them. I did the same thing to Tim Bradley. And in the interview last year, January 15th, 2023, to be exact, on Fight Hub TV, Timothy Bradley gave his perspective on how he feels about Tank Davis. Personally, he said he don't like him as a person. You know what? I'm doing way too much talking. Don't take my word for it. Roll the tape.
Tank recently tweeted out some stuff about you. How personal did you take that?
It's not personal. Everybody has their opinion. It's not personal. I just don't. I don't like the guy because of that. I just don't like the guy for what I hear and what I see. You know, I think he's a piece of shit. I honestly do. He's a piece of shit. You know, you put your hand on women like that, bro. You're a piece of shit in my book, bro. You're not a man. You know, my dad always told me, you a coward. You do something like that. You a coward. Deep down inside, you a coward. Because you got to pick on somebody that can't even defend themselves. Bro, that's not right. And I don't care about the what happened and all the whatever he's saying afterwards, and she did this and she did that. Boy, you got enough money to go buy so many toothbrushes. So, you can buy a toothbrush company probably, all the money you got. You know, who cares? Obviously, you with the wrong one. Obviously, you did something to piss her off to do it.